I went to a party a couple of weeks ago and I was talking to one of the guests there. And as we got talking, she told me about a niece who was dating someone. And this guy didn't love her. Like basically, she couldn't get what she needed. He couldn't be emotional with her. He was basically emotional distanced. But at the same time, he would give her little bits where she could gather hope that maybe the relationship would work. And then it sounded like he just wasn't there for her emotionally. Like he wasn't there for himself emotionally, honestly. This happens a lot in my office as well. People fall in love with someone who doesn't treat them well. And they may not be abusive in the sense of physically abusive or what they say, but they hold back emotionally. Like they're far away emotionally. There is just nothing available for a partner in that situation. If you're with somebody like that, my first question is, why? Why would you put yourself in that kind of a situation, seeing what you have? Well, many times what I realize is when I talk to people, first of all, there's always a hope that this person won't be emotionally unavailable forever. And secondly, there's a certain amount of kindred suffering. Like it makes sense if you grew up that way, then when you meet this person, you kind of get it. And you allow it because you grew up that way. And so you tell yourself, it's okay, it's really not that bad. But it is that bad. Because if you're dating someone who is emotionally unavailable, it doesn't get better. It's not going to get better when you're engaged. It's not going to get better when you're married. It's always going to be this way. And I think that's a sad concept to think of, that you're going to be with someone that can't share the feelings that they feel. They can't really be honest or transparent with you for the rest of their life. So instead of talking about them, let's really talk about you, why you're attracted to this kind of person. Well, the first thing is there's a high likelihood that you have a low self-esteem, or you want to be a martyr for some reason. If you have a low self-esteem, it's possible that you told yourself, this is as good as it gets. This is what you deserve. And so you put up with it, and you'll put up with it all the way through. If he gives you or she gives you one little reason to hope, you'll hang on to that hope with all your might to keep it going if you're this kind of person. Secondly, you might be a rescuer. When you see someone like this, it's obvious they're suffering. It's obvious they had some trauma, because that's what causes emotional unavailability. So you start telling yourself, well, maybe if I just love them more, maybe if I just give them more of myself, I'm more vulnerable, I'm more honest. And you know what happens? You end up burned out, and the other person does not change, because the only way that unavailably emotional person's going to change is if they get help with therapy. Thirdly, it may feel like you're going to settle in this because, after all, you were raised like this. Your parents had this kind of relationship with you, or you grew up in a family where being unemotional or being emotionally unavailable or just lacking the ability to tell the truth about how you felt or expressing how you felt with another person was so intimate they couldn't do it. They would much rather scream and yell, lots of anger, lots of other drama, but no one was able to really say how they felt. Those kids grow up trying to protect themselves. In fact, they probably raised more children that were emotionally unavailable than you can imagine, because that's what that kind of family does. But once in a while, the child from that family will see what's going on, and they'll say, oh no, I'm not going to live this way. I want someone who's emotionally available. But lo and behold, they end up with someone who feels familiar. And who feels familiar is someone who will indeed be emotionally available. And once again, you can see the full cycle of this pathology. So how do you get out of this? If you realize you're with this person who is like this, I'm going to first of all give you permission to get out. And the reason is because I know as a therapist, this person is not going to get better unless they want to get better and are motivated to go to therapy. So what do? Well, first, it's important that you recognize clearly the situation you're in, that you're not pulling punches, that you're not in denial, that you're able to classify, I am this person, this is why I'm doing it, and this is the person I'm with. Secondly, might be wise to take a step back and ask yourself, what do I feel? What would I like to have in a relationship? How would I like my relationship with a person to be? When you answer these questions, you're going to get some clarity. And at this point, you would be in a perfect position to go to a therapist because they would help guide you how to maneuver this, maybe to motivate your partner who is emotionally unavailable, but if not, how to let go. After recognizing that you're in this situation, that it's not in your favor, you're going to need to start making boundaries. And by boundaries, I say you're not going to enable this person's inability to express themselves anymore. You're not going to play a guessing game. You're not going to react violently when they pull out their phone and tune you out. What you're going to do is you're going to make a plan and say, that is disrespectful to me. And if you do that, if you continue to do that or to choose that, then I'm going to have to say goodbye. That's not an ultimatum. That's telling them where your boundary is. But then the last part is you have to let go. You have to let go of this relationship and you have to free yourself. The reason you have to free yourself is I look at this type of relationship as hurting you because it's building resentment, it's building anger, it's reinforcing your low self-esteem, and it will be more and more difficult for you to feel courageous enough or confident to get out of this kind of situation the longer you're in it. So please start today, answer those questions, seek therapy, and begin the movement forward, whether that's going to therapy with an emotionally unavailable person or freeing yourself from the situation.